Hey, it's Maureen Muldoon with Lesson 66 of A Course in Miracles. And the lesson is, My happiness and my function are one. You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between your function and achieving happiness. This is because you do not really see the connection. Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They're the same. Your function and your happiness are the same. That's awesome. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one. The ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is. So it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is. It is not a two-way street. The ego attacks, and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. He knows that your function is happiness. Today we'll try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth. We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is. Our longer practice periods today has as its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function that God has given you and your happiness, but that they are actually identical. God gives you only happiness. Therefore, the function He gave you must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearances and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. This is the day the Lord has made for you to rejoice and be glad. This is an opportunity for your joy and for your happiness, always, always, always. So it says begin the 10 to 15 minute practice periods by reviewing these ideas. God gives me only happiness. He has given me my function, therefore my function must be happiness. It's good news, man, right? Try to see the logic in the sequence, even if you do not accept the conclusion. If it is only if the first two thoughts are wrong, that the conclusion could be false. Let us then think about the premise for a while as we practice. The first premise is that God gives you only happiness. Now, this could be false, of course, but in order for it to be false, it's necessary to define God as something that God is not. Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil. That's pretty radical, don't you think? Radical happiness is yours. God cannot give what God does not have, and He cannot have what He is not. So, it's just like love. There's no opposite to love. Like you are made, you are cut, and you are formed from the God consciousness, which is only true, beautiful love. Love in action is joy and happiness. So there's nothing else there. God is invested in you being well lit in love. And when you're happy, you're well lit in love. Because it's attraction rather than promotion. And as Marianne Williamson says, as you allow your light to shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. You're not here to give other people permission to let their light shine, but it sure is nicer to see somebody whose light is shining and saying, oh my gosh, I can do that too. So it goes on to say, unless God gives you only happiness, He must be evil. And it is this definition of God you are believing if you do not accept the first premise. The second premise is that God has given you your function. We have seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by ego, and one is made up of illusions. The other is the home of Holy Spirit, where truth abides. There is no other guide but these two to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice, but the fear that the ego always engenders, or the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. So if you're in love, do you remember being like in love, the first time you fell in love and you're like, what is happening? My whole body feels lit up. I can't believe this experience. Love is a state of being. It's not something that we strive for. It's a state of being. And when you feel in love, there's no way you can prevent yourself from being happy. It's the natural unfoldment of love, is happiness. Thus it must be that your function is established by God through His voice and is made by the ego, which you made to replace God, which is true. Unless God gave your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego. Does the ego really have gifts to give, and being itself an illusion and offering only illusions of gifts? Think about this during the longer practice periods, and think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind, and the many ways in which you try to find salvation under the ego's guidance. Did you find it? Were you happy? Did they bring you peace? We need great honesty today. Remember the outcome fairly, and consider also whether it is ever possible or ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything that the ego proposes. Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice. You will listen to madness or you will hear truth. Try to make this choice as you think about the premise on which our conclusion rests. We can share in this conclusion, but in no other, for God Himself shares it with us. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same and the different as different. It's an all or nothing game, folks. Either you are 100% in love or you're in separation. And you can't have a little fear in your love. Like it's a full embodiment of love, a full embodiment of happiness. All truth stands on the other. On one side stands illusion, all truth stands on the other. Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true. In the shorter practice periods, which may be most helpful today if undertaken twice an hour, this form of the application is suggested. My happiness and my function are one because God has given me both. It will not take more than a minute, and probably less, to repeat these words slowly and think about them a little while as you say them. My happiness and my function are one because God has given me both. You know what this means? This means that there's no more striving, there's no more stressing, there's no more running around, there's no more getting. It's all about giving, it's all about living, it's all about being in love. It's all about getting, it's all about giving, it's all about being in love. So I hope that you attempt to do what this lesson asks you to, and make the choice that's only true. Just make the choice of love, 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 love. Just make the choice of love. That was a little Earl Purdy inspiration for you. Happiness is your inheritance. If you like this lesson, go ahead and subscribe and like and tell your friends and share and leave me a note and make your own video and be happy and create and look both ways when you cross the street. Don't forget to eat your vegetables and brush your teeth every night. Flossing is also recommended. But sincerely, don't forget to subscribe. That's the most important thing. Adios, amigos. Namaste.